Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to the poem of the day for today, Tuesday, November the 11th, 2025. Today, we're going to continue with T.S. Eliot, and we're going to jump into the big one. It is time. We're going to go ahead with The Wasteland. This is my copy of The Wasteland by the Norton Critical Edition. The Norton Company doing their critical editions. So the actual poem, you're looking at this going, oh my gosh, it's a book. The actual poem is the first 20-ish pages. About there is the poem. And the rest of this is sources, essays, interpretations, criticisms, etc. So right off the bat, as I always say, there's far more to these poems than I'm going to be able to explain or talk about in these videos. This one perhaps more so. This is perhaps the most written about poem in the English language, and there is no possible way to do an exhaustive account of that, nor, frankly, am I smart enough to do that. But I will nonetheless offer some of my own thoughts and observations about it. Today, we're going to do just part one. So even though the poem is meant to be read entirely as one poem, it takes about 20 minutes to read the entire poem, and like we did with The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, we're going to go ahead and just read it canto by canto. And then I think what we'll do this time is I will do a canto in one video, and then the next day, because there's so much to say about The Wasteland, I will do a interpretive video after that. So if we follow the plan, the next 10 days will be Wasteland devoted. And again, we will only scratch the surface at that point. So without further ado, I feel as though I should give some sort of introduction to The Wasteland. And yet, no introduction is really going to suffice. If you've been hanging around with us during Eliot, you know that he is interested in tradition, myth, order, multiple languages, depictions of the industrial world, the modern world, particularly in London. He's interested in classes and society. He's interested in other cultures, particularly other European cultures and languages and the history of language. He's interested in alienation of the modern person from meaning. He's interested in the human mind and how it's fragmented and how one can attempt to portray consciousness throughout poetry. And all of those things will be present throughout here. So we'll start with the title page. And one of the things that you'll notice with the title page is down here, these are footnotes to the title page. The title page itself gets two footnotes. One is because the epigram this time is in, I believe, two different languages. And then the dedication is also in two different languages. So The Wasteland, the title page, has 4 languages on it, which is a bit of a flex. Now, I don't speak any of these languages except for English, so I'm going to give you the English translation of those. Now, there are other instances throughout the poem of non-English languages, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce them in my very flat Midwestern accent that speaks only English and not so well. But the front page dedication, the epigraph, reads in English: "For I once saw with my own eyes the Cumaean Sibyl hanging in a jar. And when the boys asked her, 'Sibyl, what do you want?' she answered, 'I want to die.'" That's from Greek. Quoted from the Satyricon. This is just a note. It's quoted from the Satyricon. "For Ezra Pound, the better craftsman." And that's Italian. So we have Latin, Greek, Italian, and English all on the first page. Canto 1, The Burial of the Dead. And I'll read this, and I will keep my comments for the next video. This is a 3-page part of the poem. It's 76 lines, and you'll hear me butcher some German and some French in here. So, Canto 1, The Burial of the Dead in The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, 1922. April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. Winter kept us warm, covering earth with forgetful snow, feeding a little life with dried tubers. Summer surprised us, coming over the Starnbergesa, with a shower of rain. We stopped in the colonnade and went on in sunlight into the Hofgarten and drank coffee and talked for an hour. Bin gar keine Russin Stamm aus Litauen, echt Deutsch. And when we were children, staying at the Archduke's, my cousin's, he took me out on a sled, and I was frightened. He said, Marie, Marie, hold on tight. And down we went. In the mountains there you feel free. I read much of the night and go south in the winter. What are the roots that clutch? What branches grow out of this stony rubbish? Son of man, you cannot say, or guess, for you know only a heap of broken images where the sun beats, and the dead tree gives no shelter, the cricket no relief, and the dry stone no sound of water. Only there is shadow under this red rock. Come in under the shadow of this red rock, and I will show you something different from either your shadow at morning striding behind you or your shadow at evening rising to meet you. I will show you fear and a handful of dust. Frischt weit der Wind, der Heimat zu, mein Erstkind, wo weilest du? You gave me hyacinths first a year ago. They called me the Hyacinth Girl. Yet when we came back late from the hyacinth garden, your arms full and your hair wet, I could not speak, and my eyes failed. I was neither living nor dead, and I knew nothing. Looking into the heart of light, the silence. Ud undlir das Meer. Madame Sosostris, famous clairvoyant, had a bad cold. Nevertheless, is known to be the wisest woman in Europe, with a wicked pack of cards. Here, said she, is your card, the drowned Phoenician sailor. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Look. Here is Belladonna, the lady of the rocks, the lady of situations. Here is the man with 3 staves, and here the wheel. And here is the one-eyed merchant. And this card, which is blank, is something he carries on his back, which I am forbidden to see. I did not find the hanged man. Fear death by water. I see crowds of people walking round in a ring. Thank you. If you see dear Mrs. Equitone, tell her I bring the horoscope myself. One must be so careful these days. Unreal City. Under the brown fog of a winter dawn, a crowd flowed over London Bridge. So many. I had not thought death had undone so many. Sighs, short and infrequent, were exhaled, and each man fixed his eyes before his feet, flowed up the hill and down King William Street to where St. Mary Woolnoth kept the hours, with a dead sound on the final stroke of 9. There I saw one I knew, and stopped him, crying, Stetson! You who were with me in the ships of my lee. That corpse you planted last year in the garden, has it begun to sprout? Will it bloom this year? Or has the sudden frost disturbed its bed? Oh, keep the dog far hence, that's no friend to men. Or with his nails he'll dig it up again. You, hypocrite lecture, mon semblable, mon frère. That's the end of part 1. Confused? Good, so am I. And I've read this poem maybe half a dozen times. And again, as you heard, there are fragments, there are excerpts, there are clippings and switchings and memories and diversions and illusions and images, and a lot to unpack and unfurl. And so we will attempt to get to some of those tomorrow on the following video. But for today, that's Canto 1, The Burial of the Dead, from T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. And I hope that you enjoyed and have some things to think about for the next video. Thank you all. I wish you peace.